Hi, I'm Renee Fleming, and I'm with Eyleen Braaten and Patricia Izbicki. I'm so excited to be with you both. That I've heard you present not too long ago, and so I'm thrilled that you received one of these investigator awards. So tell us about your project.
Well, our project is really focused around understanding the impacts of our choral communities for people living with Alzheimer's and other dementias through a program that focuses on music engagement, music empowerment, and most importantly, singing together. So we're really excited to be able to work on this to demonstrate that there is a potential to create well-being through choral singing for people with dementia.
Wonderful. Patricia, do you have something to add to that about the project?
Yeah, so I think one of the unique things about working with Eileen is she's the executive director of a group called Giving Voice Initiative. And so we already have a really solid evidence base of the benefit of singing in choirs for individuals living with dementias and Alzheimer's disease. But one thing we know less about is, can we actually scale this, and is it going to actually be sustainable to do this in a larger community, particularly in rural communities in the United States where healthcare usually is not as available, and so everything else sort of falls into that same trend, unfortunately. So we're going to be focusing on those underserved areas of rural Minnesota and Wisconsin, and Eileen can speak more to that. And we'll be measuring sort of the standard emotional, cognitive, quality of life measures, but we're also really excited to collect some preliminary healthcare utilization data, which we hope can help inform policy changes also around this. So a lot of complex layers, but very exciting to work with a unique group like Giving Voice.
I'm so glad to hear that. And so for each of you, was there an experience or a moment in your life that sparked your interest in this particular line of inquiry?
Yeah, I committed to this work wholeheartedly early on because of my dad. So lifelong musician. In fact, his only profession and truly his love was playing instruments and bringing people together through music. And he was diagnosed with Parkinson's 19 years ago and was able to live really meaningfully and independently for a while until he couldn't, which is, oftentimes the path that people walk. And so I became a member of the sandwich generation, which was caring for young children as well as caring for an aging parent. And when looking for things that we could do together that engaged both of our love for music, I really found that the community fell short. There really weren't very many opportunities for us to do something like that until I found Giving Voice, which at the time was a smaller organization, was really focusing on running a couple choirs here in the Twin Cities and doing amazing work. And I was so taken by the opportunity that this organization had to make change that I had to get involved. And I met the co-founders, and their vision for a movement was just absolutely inspiring, and haven't looked back. And that was almost 9 years ago, and it's really become a life-changing experience for me with my dad, but also the opportunity to work towards something that I think has so much potential has been life-changing. Yeah.
I so love that you have this broader vision. And I think that's incredibly important. And that's how things get done, really. It's somebody who's passionate. The two of you could kind of make this happen. I'm very excited about it. So, talk a little bit about the groundwork in terms of study design, technology, methodology. How do you plan on doing this more specifically?
Yep. So really, the groundwork, I think, can really simply be put as meeting the choirs where they're at. So, in terms of the technology and like the assessments, I don't particularly think this is anything novel. What we're doing from that aspect, we're collecting data with validated questionnaires, but we're out in the community and seeing if what happens in science in the wild, I think, is fairly novel and outside the lab. Right, you have a lot of other variables you just can't control first. So there's that aspect of you being very mindful about when we collect emotional, cognitive, quality of life, and healthcare utilization methods. How do we best control for all those variables? But also the wonderful thing about meeting folks in their communities and being able to connect with them on that level is also a very unique thing. And I think as scientists, we should be not we shouldn't be afraid of doing that. Like, yes, it comes with its challenges, but there is a unique opportunity here from a scientific aspect of what happens. How do we collect data out in the wild like this? And then just going back to meeting folks where they're at, we'll be collecting data in their communities. So where they're having choir rehearsals and spaces where they actually may feel more comfortable, and we may, I'm speculating here, but get better data. Surprise, right? I don't know many people who feel comfortable in a lab except for maybe the scientists who work in that lab day in and day out, right? So I would say that that's probably the most unique aspect here.
Thank you so much, Eyleen and Patricia. Really look forward to hearing more about this.